everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Kim Richards makes rare fan appearance in New Jersey. Kim Richards made a rare public appearance in New Jersey. On April 25, the former The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star appeared at the Chiller Theater Expo at the Hilton in Parsippany, NJ. Entertainment and OW was on hand to get exclusive photos of Richards, 60, who appeared to be in great spirits as she met up with fans at the sci-fi and pop culture convention. Richards was set up at a booth as she greeted fans at the convention. The former Bravo star was surrounded by photos from her acting career, as well as a poster from her Real Housewives days. Richards was in her element as she posed for photos with fans and signed autographs. The former RHOBH star looked happy and healthy as she spent time with fans who have followed her since her days as a child star in TV shows and films, such as Nanny and The Professor, and Escape to Witch Mountain. The Kim Richards sighting comes 2 months after her sisters Kyle Richards and Kathy Hilton confirmed she has been spending time in Florida. In addition to Richards, other celebrity guests at the weekend-long Chiller Theater Fan Fest include The Exorcist star Linda Blair, MASH legends Loretta Swit and Jamie Farr, and Cheers alum John Ratzenberger. Richards has been out of the public eye in recent months. She did not appear at all on the most recent season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. In January, she traveled back to the West Coast for a meet and greet at the Hollywood show. The Fan Expo was held January 10 and 11 at the Los Angeles Marriott Burbank Hotel. While greeting fans, she spoke to podcast host David Yontef. The Behind the Velvet Rope host raved about Richards' lovely energy as she met up with fans. Let's not forget Kim Richards is an actress, Yontef told his podcast listeners. She was on Escape from Witch Mountain. There are people that are very huge fans of that show and all the other work that she's done. In September 2024, TMZ reported that Richards had an alleged relapse with alcohol. But during the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, her sisters both said she was doing much better now. When Kim Richards stepped out onto the modest stage set up at the Monmouth County Pop Culture Expo, there was a kind of electric hum in the air. Not the kind that comes from faulty wiring or a poorly grounded mic, but the kind that buzzes when something unexpected and nostalgic walks into the room. She wore a tailored white blazer, perfectly imperfect beach waves, and the cautious smile of someone returning to a world that once knew her better than she knew herself. It had been a while, years in fact, since the former child star and reality TV icon had made a public appearance quite like this. For the fans, it was like spotting a rare bird. You'd heard whispers, seen a blurry Instagram story, maybe caught a clip on a podcast. But here she was. Real, present. Kim Richards in the flesh. And New Jersey, of all places. I used to think Jersey was just where you got stuck in traffic on the way to New York, she quipped early on, earning a burst of laughter from the surprisingly packed crowd. But I see now, this is the place to be. The Princess of Bravo returns. To understand the importance of this moment, you'd have to rewind. Not just to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, though that's where many fans first fell under her unpredictable charm, but all the way back to Disney. Before the drama and rehab stints, before Andy Cohen's infamous reunion couch, Kim was the darling of 1970s cinema. She had starred in Escape to Witch Mountain, Nanny and The Professor, and even appeared on Little House on the Prairie. She was America's spunky little sister before she was the haunted sibling of the Hilton dynasty. At the Fan Q&A in Jersey, she answered questions about everything. From what it was like working with Bette Davis, terrifying but amazing, to her favorite RHOBH moment, none of the fights, but maybe the trip to Paris. When Kyle wasn't yelling, she didn't shy away. But she also didn't dwell. She seemed, in a word, light. Unburdened. I'm in a new chapter, she told the crowd, holding her tea like a talisman. And I'm learning that it's okay to step back and then step back in when you're ready. Not just in nostalgia hit. What made the event feel less like a PR stunt and more like a genuine moment was the way Kim handled the fans. She didn't rush them. She took selfies, gave long hugs, and even held a baby that one fan insisted was blessed now. She laughed, maybe a little nervously at times, but not in a distant way. It was more like someone who still amazed anyone barely out of high school, stood in line with her mother and grandmother. "We're 3 generations of Richards fans," she said, clutching a vintage copy of Escape to Witch Mountain. When she finally met Kim, she told her, "You were the first person I saw on screen who made me feel okay being a little weird." Kim teared up. "You just made my whole weekend," she said. The unexpected wisdom of Kim. At the panel later that afternoon, she spoke more openly than anyone expected. About addiction, recovery, and forgiveness. About the long years out of the spotlight when it felt like everyone had moved on. About her family, always complicated, always tangled in golden threads of glamour and grief. And she talked about healing. Not in a rehearsed, talking point kind of way, but the messy kind. The kind that feels real. "You know, I used to hate it when people said I was the broken one, or the troubled sister," she said, sitting comfortably in a velvet chair that matched her pink-toned lipstick. "But now I realize, we're all a little broken. That doesn't mean we can't be beautiful too." There was a pause after that. The kind that comes when people aren't sure whether to clap or cry. Most did a bit of both. What's next? When someone in the audience asked if she'd ever return to television, Kim grinned. "Never say never," she said. "But if I do, it has to be something that feeds my soul, not just the ratings." A cryptic answer, perhaps. But fans noticed the gleam in her eye. Whether that means a podcast, a memoir, a surprise cameo in the next Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, who knows? What's clear is that Kim is reclaiming her own narrative, slowly but deliberately. She ended the session by thanking the audience, really thanking them. "You've all watched me at my best and worst," she said, voice softening. "And you're still here. That means something." A new kind of celebrity encounter. In a culture where fame burns bright and burns out fast, Kim Richards' reappearance in a modest New Jersey convention hall wasn't about selling merch or chasing headlines. It was something rarer. A woman who's lived in the glare of celebrity, stepping back into it on her own terms. She didn't need flashing lights or a Hollywood backdrop. She had folding chairs, an audience of believers, and the kind of applause that comes from the heart. The kind that says, "We remember you, we still care." And as she exited the stage, hand in hand with her assistant, purse swinging, hair catching the overhead lights, someone shouted, "We love you, Kim." She paused, turned back, smiled a little brighter than before, and said, "I love you too." It wasn't the red carpet, but it didn't have to be.